Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hello and welcome into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood, and we had some Steelers news come out today that we have to talk about, and it's great that I have Brian Batko in here with me. We can break it all down for you guys the day after Christmas. First and foremost, Brian, how was your Christmas?
Oh, it was great. Pretty low-key. Got to see my side of the family, wife's side of the family, the kids. Had a good time with cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. So, yeah, it was lovely.
Watch any good Christmas movies?
I watched a little bit of It's a Wonderful Life on Christmas Eve once the kids were in bed and the presents were under the tree. So that's what tided me over until Santa came in the morning.
Yeah, that was actually a tradition in my household to watch.
That's my favorite.
Life, yeah,
honestly.
On Christmas Eve. It's interesting though; they have a color version now, which I didn't realize.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I know. I went to play it and it was color. I was like, wait a second, this looks weird. So watch the black and white one. But I agree with you on that. Now, switching gears, get some Steelers news. So today, T.J. Watt officially ruled out for Sunday. Now, Brian, this has been such an unfortunate saga with TJ battling this scary lung injury. You know, he's been out the past 2 games. Now it'll be 3 in a row. And hopefully playoff implications. Packers-Ravens, we'll get to that. They play tomorrow night, and that could have a lot of weight on who actually we see play in Cleveland on Sunday, or that could impact it, I should say. But no TJ again this week. It's really unfortunate, but bright side. We saw him out there practicing, saw him out there on the south side, so it was good to see him back out there.
Yeah, I mean, during the portion that we're allowed to, take video and photo of and, essentially tell you about a little bit, I mean, he looked like his typical self, typical TJ Watt, but that's a big difference between, doing that and going back through team drills at full speed, which then is another big difference and a jump up to doing it against an opponent with different colored jerseys when the chips are down. So I tend to think that this decision is more about TJ's readiness and overall health than it is any sort of reflection on the significance of this game, because if the Ravens do beat the Green Bay Packers tomorrow night, then this game very much matters for the Steelers. If they win it, they don't have to worry about beating the Ravens again at home in Week 18 at Acrisure Stadium. So I think if TJ really was a completely 100% ready to get back in there and go, he would at least have a questionable designation, if not 0 injury designation, because you could use him and you might need him depending on how the Malik Willis-Tyler Huntley Bowl goes tomorrow night.
Yes. Now, speaking of that, good news as well coming out of the injury report today. Nick Herbig is going to be a go. He had to sit out last weekend. But we saw this run defense step up in a huge way and shut down a Lions running attack. And it was so impressive that they could do that without T.J. Watt and Nick Herbig. So now adding Herbig back in the mix, I think is just another addition for them. And this defense, I mean, they're just playing so well right now, and it's been really impressive to see.
And specifically, Jack Sawyer acquitted himself very well in Detroit. I think that was one area that you kind of had, even if you were high on Jack Sawyer, you had to worry a little bit about his first start coming against an offense that's that dynamic, and you wouldn't have known the rookie 4th rounder was making his first NFL start and playing by far his most snaps in a game, because the defense did slam the door on that Lions ground game, and Sawyer was a big part of that. Obviously, Jared Goff and his pass catchers got going at times, especially in that 4th quarter, but it wasn't because they were just gashing the Steelers on the ground. They continue to find some answers there. In a normal Browns matchup, I would say that would be a question mark and a challenge again. But with no Quinshon Judkins, their star rookie rusher who's been really good this season, I don't even know that there's anybody who scares you too much on the ground for the Browns.
Yeah, now let's play the what-if game here a little bit. Let's say, the Ravens lose tomorrow night and the Steelers sit a couple starters and they go into that Browns game, and let's say they lose because they don't have starters out there, and let's say that happens. Do you think they're going to play the starters in that final game against the Ravens? And if they beat the Browns too, do you think they're going to play their starters in that final game, or do you think they could potentially sit them for two weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's potential that some guys could sit for 2 weeks. I know Cam Hayward was he wasn't given any sort of designation for the game injury-wise, but he didn't practice again today. I think he was off Wednesday, was limited Thursday, and then no practice again today. So I almost wonder if they're starting to ease into Cam getting some rest down the stretch here regardless. But, yeah, I mean, I think they are in a pretty good position. That all can change tomorrow night. And I know Mike Tomlin doesn't like hypotheticals, but we have no problem with them on the outside world. And even the coaches and these teams, I mean, you have to live in the hypothetical world this time of year because that's what scoreboard watching is all about. That's what tiebreakers and the standings are all about. So the Steelers got some bad news today that Jordan Love will not play for the Packers, but they got some good news that Malik Willis will play so that the Green Bay is not running Clayton Tune out there against the Ravens. Even at Lambeau Field, I think that would have been tough for him to pull that off. So, yeah, I look at Ravens-Packers as a coin flip, and, you know, Aaron Rodgers told us on Wednesday he'll be in bed by the time that game's over, so he won't even hit the pillow necessarily knowing, you know, what his motivation will be Sunday as far as how it affects the standings. But there are still scenarios, unlikely as they may be, where if the Jaguars and Texans collapse in these final two games, the Steelers could actually move up to the 3 seed. So I think they'll err toward the side of playing the guys in Cleveland and then hoping they don't have to worry about that Week 18 against Baltimore.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, too, I mean, they had an early bye this year. They had like a week for a bye. So I think to give, especially these older vets, a little bit of extra time, if they know for a fact they're going to, you know, have a playoff game, then they're going to need to do that. I mean, they just need to, because this late in the season, there's so many nicks and bruises. If there's no actual injuries being reported, surely they're banged up after playing 15 weeks of football. So, you know, I do think it would be smart to maybe sit, especially Cam Hayward, guys like that, in these final 2 weeks. And like you said, Mike Tomlin doesn't like hypotheticals, but when we're down to the wire here with 2 weeks left of the regular season, you're kind of forced to talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, like you said, Cassidy, they're an old team, relatively speaking, to the rest of the league. They did have that early bye. They had an international trip worked into this season. Even their Thursday night football game was early this year, and a lot of teams relish that mini bye week. You don't like the short week going into it, but you like the extra time off on the back end. Even that Cincinnati Bengals game was a while ago now for them. So they have been at it every week for a while now, and a lot of veterans who've got a lot of wear and tear on their bodies. It helps that, you know, players like Adam Thielen and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, while they're getting up there in age, they've got pretty fresh legs as far as the roles that they've been playing elsewhere and now getting worked into the equation here. So we know DK Metcalf will come back rested and ready because he won't be putting any miles on the odometer these next couple games.
Oh, yeah, and we'll get right into all that drama right after the break, guys. We're going to head to our first break. Give us a call, 412-575-2600. We want to hear from you guys. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity Tweet of the Night from Matt Williamson. Joey Porter Jr. has played 1,417 consecutive snaps in coverage without allowing a touchdown, the longest active streak among cornerbacks, and more than twice as long as the next closest streak. More than twice as long as the next closest streak. I'm reading that again because that's crazy. His last allowed touchdown was in Week 8 of 2023. Porter has made a play on the ball on 22.2% of his targets in coverage this season, the third highest rate among cornerbacks with at least 50 targets, helping him to allow a 52.4 completion percentage, which is the 9th lowest in the league. And it doesn't even say on this, guys, but the other thing, too, is the personal fouls are glaringly different than last year. I mean, I think he was probably one of the top, you know, offenders of personal fouls in the league last season. And now he's pretty much gone this entire season, I think, without really pulling any flags. So, yeah, it's been really cool to see JPJ have just an awesome year this year.
Yeah, he had a couple blips early in the season, but he seems to have gotten that ironed out. Now, sometimes those stats as far as in coverage can be a little bit subjective when you're looking at cornerback play and closest defender and all of that. But, yeah, I still think that stat speaks to how disruptive Joey has been this year after, again, a little bit of a rocky start to this season. But I still think with his size and as physical as he plays that position, he is closer to the brand of football that you want out of some of the best corners in the NFL than he is someone who shouldn't be starting or shouldn't even be considered for a second contract, as some of the more shall we say, negative Steelers fans were spouting at times this season.
Yeah, and I think maybe that rocky start to the season could have been because this defense was still trying to figure things out. Remember, Jalen Ramsey was still playing, safety at that point. They didn't move him back until a few weeks in. So I think once they kind of figured everything out and they settled in, it's looked a lot cleaned up.
Yeah.
Or wait,
Joey Porter Jr.
And then they switched him.
He's having a good season. Somebody should interview that guy.
Right. Okay. Bri, you teased it before the break, the DK Metcalf situation. We got to talk about it. Unfortunately, I know people are probably sick of hearing about this guy, but Ryan Kennedy held his press conference today with his attorneys. I personally think this is all just a show. I think he's trying to have his 5 minutes of fame, and the glaring thing for me is they confirmed in that press conference that he has had issues with DK specifically in the past, and there was actually an incident report filed last year when he was still with the Seahawks because he was heckling him last year. And granted, the investigation came out, they found no violation of a fan code of conduct with Ryan Kennedy, and they cleared it. He was allowed still in the stadiums and everything. But I just think that's a huge red flag. It's the same actors involved in the same situations. And I think this time, maybe, he didn't use a racial slur. That's clear. He's made that clear. His attorneys have made that clear. But I think it takes a lot to ruffle the feathers of DK Metcalf. And I think other things were said. I mean, I don't think he was just calling him DeKalin, and that's why he turned around and got so upset. I think if he has a history with him, maybe, there's other things that he knows about and knows what can get under his skin, and maybe he fired some of those things off. So unfortunate situation. DK's suspension still stands. And really what they wanted out of this press conference today was, quote, accountability, and to, bring to truth what actually happened and kill all the misinformation. Another important thing to note, though, only select media members were allowed to go to this press conference. Everyone else had to join on Zoom, and you couldn't even ask a question on Zoom. They wouldn't take any questions on Zoom. So,
Well, I wasn't driving up to Detroit to get to it, but no, I mean, I think there were some clownish aspects of it. He's there in his backwards Lions cap, and I thought it was ridiculous that he was calling him DeKalin again in this press conference setting or whatever. I mean, the guy's a public figure. He goes by DK Metcalf. You're really just kind of trying to continue to troll him as you sarcastically ask for this olive branch of clearing his name and admit that you lied about the racial slur. Look, the suspension being upheld kind of tells me the NFL did not find any evidence of a racial slur. That doesn't mean that he didn't say it. It doesn't mean that heckling, while I guess permissible, is not kind of a lame thing to do at times. But yeah, I mean, this whole situation, I think everybody would like for it to go away. With DK being suspended from the team, there's no opportunity for beat writers like myself to talk to him and ask him to clarify his side of the story. So I don't know if this is going to go away or if it bubbles back up again in 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, the act of heckling at a sporting event is not really what's figuratively on trial here. But I think this guy is kind of making it a jerk of himself in Lions fandom and certainly NFL fandom. So I would have this advice to anybody who's been paying attention to the DK Metcalf Blue Wig saga. Wise learn from fools more than fools from the wise. Let's keep that in mind.
Oh, I like that. I also think this all could have been kind of put to bed a bit sooner if the NFL was a little more transparent about their investigation. I thought it was kind of crazy that he had an appeals hearing, and I mean, we saw nothing out of that, and we know that. I mean, the NFL's never, ever going to show their hand when it comes to internal investigations. That's not how they operate, and we understand that. But I think it would have put a lot of questions to bed if they just were a little bit more transparent about it.
Yeah, and I mean, you did say it does take a lot to ruffle the feathers of DK Metcalf. I don't know about that on the field. He's certainly had a lot of opposing cornerbacks try and succeed to get under his skin between the lines. But yes, we've never seen that with a fan in the stands, so I don't really know what to make of that. I think you generally want any player to try to stay above the fray. And while, again, I think a lot of this kind of college fandom, student section culture seeping into pro sports is weird, but at the same time, if you're not built for that, if you can't block it out and have thick skin, then you can go play rec league football where no one really will be heckling you, and you also won't make millions.
Yeah, let me set the record straight. I don't condone what DK Metcalf did. It was obviously wrong for a player to go into the stands and assault a fan. I don't think that was the right thing to do by any means. I don't think this guy is some angel and
clearly
did nothing. So
not at all.
Two sides.
He knew what he was doing,
guys. Yeah. All right, let's get to the phone lines. We have Bob in Pittsburgh who wants to talk about Jari a little bit. He's been waiting. So Bob, what's going on?
Hi, this is Bob from Pittsburgh. I'm a first-time caller. Should Bruins have kept Jari as the goalie with their recent record?
I mean, look, it's a good question. I think with Jari, it's so tough, right? Because the past couple of years, we've talked about it. He's been so up and down, very tumultuous season last year. Had a hot start to the season this year, a really hot start. And so they were able to get a lot for him. Got draft picks, got Stuart Skinner and another defenseman. And so, look, I think Skinner, it's a little bit of a disappointment, I'd say. His goaltending as of late, they went through that huge skid recently, and he was in goal for a couple of those games. So Tristan Jari, I think he's heated up at this point. I think he's bounced back after the past couple seasons, and he's having a decent year. But I also think this team, they need to rebuild eventually. And I think right now draft picks are important as well. So.
Yeah, Skinner's play is what it is. I still think that deal was more about clearing the lane for the younger guys there. And with Jari, to me, I mean, you just sort of reached the point of no return with him and the franchise. You were able to extract some value from him, whether that hot start was a flash in the pan or not, or whether he does go and succeed elsewhere. That doesn't necessarily mean it would have happened here. Sometimes a change of scenery can help, and that's maybe what he needed.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He's been here. He was here like a decade plus. So, yeah, I get it. All right, guys, we're going to head to our last break. Give us a call, 412-575-2600. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood, joined alongside Brian Bacco. We have about a minute left in the show, Brian, and you and I will be back here doing the same thing tomorrow night so we can give our Steelers predictions, score prediction tomorrow night. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Who do you have for tomorrow night between the Packers and the Ravens?
Ooh, that's tough. I like the way Malik Willis was playing last week in that Bears game, which is one of the best games I've watched all season, especially for one that didn't have a ton of points scored. Just because they're the more desperate team and the Packers might be resting on their laurels a little bit, I'll say the Ravens go in there, get a win in Lambeau, and make things dicey for the Steelers.
Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley.
I don't feel great about it,
Look
but
out.
it's a coin flip for me.
I do hope for the Steelers' sake that the Packers win tomorrow night, but I know everybody here in Pittsburgh will be watching that game. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you had a very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Me and Brian Bacco, same place, same time.